Hi, my name is Jo March and I am Senior Archivist here at Northumberland Archives. We're going to give you a little bit of a tour of the archives and particularly behind the scenes so that you get an idea of what we do here. We're in the study centre at the moment, which is where people come to do their research. It's a free service that people can use Wednesday to Friday, and people will order out the documents that they want to have a look at and view it in this room. We have actually got a couple of researchers in at the moment, so we'll keep this bit short and we'll catch up at the next stop. So here we are behind the scenes. It looks a little bit different here than to the public rooms. It's much more utilitarian. You may have noticed when we walked through the door between the public area and the behind the scenes, the staff area, we had to use a fob. We have to be really careful about security here because all of the documents that we look after are valuable, not necessarily in terms of money, but definitely in terms of historical value, and also a lot of them are absolutely unique. You're not going to find the documents here that you would maybe find in an archive, say in Bristol or in London. They're specific to Northumberland, and a lot of them are just one of a kind. So this is the entrance to one of our strong rooms. We've got two big rooms like this, and it's worth just mentioning a few things before we go in. The doors are special doors. They are constructed so that if there were to be a fire in the archives, they would protect the documents for 4 hours, and that's a standard within archives. All archive repositories should have doors like this into their strong rooms. We also have above the door, you can see we measure the temperature and humidity in the archive strong rooms, and this is really an important part of the preservation of the documents. Paper and parchment, which makes up the majority of our archives here, like to be in quite a nice steady environment, not too hot, not too cold, and not too damp, crucially. If things get damp, then we really run the risk of mould, which is a big worry for all archives, as well as fire. We also have a special fire suppression system, because if we were to have a fire in the archive strong rooms and we had a sprinkler system, then we would have two problems to deal with if there were ever a fire. We would have water damage and we would have fire damage. So instead of using water to put out fires, we use this gas, argonite gas, which is heavier than air, and it pushes the air out of the room so that there's no oxygen left in the room, which means that the fire then is put out. It can no longer burn. Right, let's have a look in the strong room. Okay, so this is strong room 3, and you can see on these shelves we've got a lot of volumes. These aren't actually archives, they are the local studies library collection. They do include some really old and rare volumes, but they are not archives because they were printed. You will probably find copies of those sort of things maybe in the British Library, for example. When you enter this room, I have to say there is quite a special atmosphere in here, and a lot of times when we bring young people in, they'll go, oh, the smell. Think of if you go into a second-hand bookshop, it's very much that sort of scent. I really like it. It feels very like home to me, but there are plenty of people who don't find it that pleasant. Here we have map cabinets, and in these map cabinets, I'll just open one up for you so you can have a look. We have ordnance survey maps. These are really useful to researchers. They are again printed maps, so technically not archival. Again, you could get copies of these, say at the British Library, but they are quite old and they are quite rare, and as I said, really useful to researchers. So the first edition of the Ordnance Survey map is for Northumberland about 1865, so quite early. And they are really beautiful, the first edition, because they were hand tinted. You can see the buildings are all shaded in pink, and the roads and kind of trackways are in a sort of sandy colour, and you can just see just there on the edge there, bodies of water and rivers are in blue. So they're really quite, as well as being useful, they're really quite attractive as well. Right, so let's have a little look around the corner. As you can see on this side of the strong room, we've got racking which is specifically for rolled documents. These are, a lot of these are maps, so unlike the Ordnance Survey ones, these are actually hand drawn mainly, and it's unlikely that there'll be copies of these anywhere else. So they're really a useful source for lots of researchers. Particularly at the moment, we've got a lot of people interested in trains, and so we've got plans of where trains and tracks were planned to be in the county. We've also got tithe and enclosure maps in these racks. Any of the rolled items that are a bit smaller will actually go on the shelving. So this is just a small number of the rolled maps and plans that we have. We actually have thousands in the collection. As you can see down this bay of the shelving, we have many, many more of the rolled maps and plans. When a researcher comes to visit us and they want to look at a document, they have to fill in one of these slips. And for the important thing for us here is the reference number. We have over 6 miles of shelving with hundreds, thousands, probably millions of records, and so the individual reference for each one is really important for us so that we can actually find things. So the researcher looks on our catalogue, will write the reference in this part of the slip, and then a short description just in case they've got the number wrong. Sometimes happens. Then we've got something that we can sort of compare it to. They'll put their name and the date on it, and at the bottom we will add the location. And so for example, this is strong room 3, so on our database it will show that it's in strong room 3, and then we'll look for the stacks. So this one is stack K, and then within each of the stacks all of the shelves are individually numbered. I'll show you one of those in a minute. I'll just show you that the slip is actually in 3 parts, because the white part goes behind the desk in the study centre. The yellow part stays with the document at all times, and the pink part goes on the shelf. This is again a security system to show that when things go back, we know that they've definitely gone back, because we'll take the pink bit from the shelf, we'll marry it with the yellow bit which has stayed with it all of the time, and the white bit which is behind the desk. So once all those 3 bits are together, we know definitively that the item is back where it is meant to go. So let's have a look at one of the stacks. This is, as you can see, stack E, and this is shelf E81. As I said, all of the shelves are labelled like this. They've all got their own individual number. Then you'll see that there are lots and lots of boxes on the shelves. Where at all possible, we will put documents and even small volumes in boxes like this because they give them lots of protection. There's been a study where somebody actually put a thermometer and a hygrometer in an archive box, and the environment within the box is actually more stable than the surrounding environment. So it really protects the documents from the environment. If there were to be a flood in here, then it would afford some protection from water. Also it means that dust and insects can't get at them. They're special boxes. It's not just any old cardboard. This is archival quality cardboard, which is acid free. Most cheap cardboard and paper is made from wood pulp, and the wood pulp over time degrades and lets off an acid gas. And obviously we don't want acid anywhere near documents, paper and parchment, because that will mean that they will start to degrade. They go really brittle, and when you touch them they sort of just fall apart if they've been attacked by an acidic environment. We have, as you can see, hundreds and hundreds of boxes, and each one has on the outside the document, the references of the documents or volumes or parchments that are inside it, so that when we go to look for them we can find the document. We have unique references for each document, but within that we have kind of series of records. So for example, EP is a very big collection which stands for ecclesiastical parish, so anything that's got an EP in front of it will be something that is to do with a parish within the Diocese of Newcastle. We also have NRO, which is the sort of general collection. So a lot of the collections will come under NRO. We also have HOSP, HOSP, which is for hospitals, and you can see we have such a range of collections here. As I said, hospitals, parishes, dioceses. We have schools and charities. Individuals, businesses, all sorts of collections are kept here. Our general remit is anything that is to do with the history of Northumberland. So if we think that a collection highlights or records a part of the history of the county, whether it's an individual or an organisation, then we will consider keeping it here. And our aim is to preserve things. So when we take something in, the idea is that we will preserve it forever. So it's a really big commitment to take in a collection here. When we take in a collection, there's lots of processing that's also involved in taking it in. Quite often a collection will need to be cleaned, particularly Victorian documents tend to have been kept in somewhere like a basement or an attic, which may well have had some sort of heating system, and quite often a coal-fired heating system. So they tend to be really sooty and really gross. So that involves quite a lot of cleaning. There may be damage from insects or water or fire. We may have to kind of repair them, send them to a conservator to be looked at. We'll also have to do a process which is called appraisal, where we look at all of the documents within a collection to see which ones we do want to keep, and quite often we do, although we maybe keep a collection, we'll reject some of the material within the collection. It may well be that there are duplicates, there are printed items that could be found elsewhere or whatever. So we will appraise the documents, we will arrange them. So very often when we get documents, they'll just be a load of stuff which has been piled into a cardboard box or even a bin bag or something like that. So we'll need to work out an order for them to go in. We try and think about the order that they may have been created in. So we try and replicate that where possible. Where not, we will try and look at where documents fit together, whether there are documents that are similar and have a similar purpose, and we'll put those together. So once we've done that, we will then describe those documents, and that's often what is referred to as cataloguing. So we'll actually write a description of the documents in the collection, which will go on to our catalogue, and then people can find those descriptions and then come and order that document out. So here we've got a couple of our smaller strong rooms, and we'll just poke our head into them. You'll see why I'm not going to explain what it is while we're in there once we've got in. So here we go. So that's the photographic store, and as you could probably hear, it's quite noisy in there because we have a cooling system in there, and it's quite aggressive. It's really cold in there, and it is a bit of a cliche that archivists wear cardigans, but when you're having to go in and out of rooms like that, you do need an extra layer at work. We keep those the photographs in those conditions because old photographs, so printed photographs, are quite unstable. The chemical process which was used to make the photographs means that if they get too warm, the coating on the photographs starts to melt, and they can stick to themselves or anything that they're up against. So we need to keep them really cool. This is another strong room which is very similar. We'll just again poke our head through. Oh. So in that strong room, again, it is has got the cooling system, but it keeps the media that we have in there cool, such as film. We have actual kind of reels of film which can be very delicate and can actually burst into flames if not kept in the right environment. And we also have digital media in there, so things like floppy disks and CD-ROMs and hard drives. These are all things that have come to us as part of an individual or an organisation's records, their archive, but they do pose quite a problem to us because obviously there's technologically things move really quickly in terms of digital media. So something which even like a CD-ROM, which maybe 10-15 years ago a lot of people were using to store data, is actually quite difficult to use now because you don't get computers that have the hardware to be able to read those CD-ROMs. And if you go back further, floppy disks it can be really quite difficult to get the hardware to be able to read those sort of files. So we keep them in here, we try and migrate them where at all possible, and we keep the originals in this room because digital media again likes to be kept quite cold, and that's the best way to preserve it.